Now, the first character we're touching on is going to be Tingyun, and she is up there in my book for one of, if not the best characters in the game, because she is so flexible in what she does to the core mechanics of Honkai Star Rail, which is the combination of speed as well as generating / using skill points in gaining ultimate energy is exactly what she does. She tries to break that system right in half. So if you check her out here in the game, you're going to have access to her talent ability, which is going to be free damage. When you use her actual skill, it's going to apply the effect of benediction to that ally. And then when that enemy is attacked by Tingyun, the character who has the benediction buff is going to be doing additional lightning damage to that enemy. But on top of that as well, Soothing Melody, which is the thing that actually applies the benediction buff, gives an attack bonus to that targeted ally based on Tingyun's attack. And then when that character also attacks with this benediction buff on them, they're going to deal additional lightning damage as well. Now, this is going to last 3 turns, and you can only have 1 ally with this buff, but this is so much free damage from 1 skill point throughout the bonus damage that Tingyun's going to do from the talent and the bonus damage that's going to happen and occur on the ally's turn with this buff. We're already cooking with this character, but then we're going to have access to her ultimate Amidst the Rejoicing Clouds, which is going to regenerate 50 energy for a single ally and increase their damage by a pretty tremendous amount as you level up this talent ability. But it gets better from there, because this is already a bunch of free damage, and energy recharge on a DPS character is a huge thing, because it doesn't mean that character is going to be restricted by building as much energy as possible through spamming their skill. It's going to allow you to be a little bit more flexible, maybe weave some healer abilities in there to heal your team back up, and still have access to this ultimate ability to fuel and drive your DPS character. But not only can you use this on your DPS character, there's nothing stopping you from using your ultimate ability on Tingyun on your healer character or on your preservation character, so you can respond to enemy abilities in the middle of combat, because you can use your ultimates on whoever you want, whenever you want. So if you're caught in a scenario where an enemy is going to be taking back-to-back actions, you've probably already seen this by now. If an enemy hits your whole team and you're afraid that they're going to hit your whole team again, or maybe that you know that they are, and you're a little bit short of energy on your healer, if this fills up for you, you can use Tingyun's ultimate, give energy to your character that's your healer, and then use your healer's ultimate before the boss can actually hit you for the second time, which is just huge. This is why she's such a good character. She's flexible and powerful all at the same time. She's a must-build character on your account. If you have access to her, start leveling her right now. Now, the next character I want to go over is going to be Asta. Too many people are sleeping on Asta. She's a fire character. We get the Fire Trailblazer. Too much fire. But here's the thing about Fire Asta. She excels against enemies that are weak to fire in a large way. So if you're using Asta, you're probably using people who are weak against fire anyway. So it's not really a drawback to have 2 fire characters, one being Asta, the other being the Fire Trailblazer, in the same party. But what are you getting if you use her against these fire weak enemies? Well, you get a very powerful shield breaker for one, because Meteor Storm's gonna be hitting multiple times, and so you can start doing damage to multiple enemy shields all at the same time. And this is going to scale up even better once you gain access to more gear that has higher amounts of shield break increased value. You can shatter a bunch of shields this way, and on top of that, not only are you shattering shields and putting the fire shield break debuff on them, but because it hits them multiple times and the enemies are weak against fire, you're gonna get full benefit of her talent here, which is gonna be a stacking attack buff for the entire party. We love free stats, and your DPS is gonna love this too. You get this to around 10% attack increase, 5 times 50% attack value increase for everyone in your party. Yes, the charge count does go down at the start of your turn, but if you use her skill, you can start breaking shields once again, which is going to be a main thing she's in your party for, and just get this rate back up. So we have a giant attack buff for shield breaker, and then her ultimate ability, a giant speed buff as well. Now, not as strong as something like Brania right out the gate, where that 100% CR pushes you to the top, but this is going to be for your entire party, and this is for 2 turns as well. And just having your entire team move that bit much faster means you're going to be able to get in more attacks during shield breaks, which she's going to be doing for you with this giant attack buff from her talent ability. And it's just an overall great place to be with her as well. Now, you're also going to have some bonus ability traces to unlock, where she's going to be able to facilitate some sort of damage over time burn effects too, which could be something that you're looking into in the simulated world where there's a lot of nihilism, trees and cards that you can pick in there. Very good with Sampo for that reason. All in all, don't sleep on Asta. She's going to be very, very powerful, especially once you start getting into different areas of the game where you need to build multiple teams. She's a go-to support for that reason. Now, moving away from straight up supports into a preservation character, which is the tank role of this game, is March 7th. You all have her and you all should probably be leveling her. She's going to be a core way to play simulated universe, because tank down, if you're a free-to-play player, is a very good way to do simulated universe. Take all the things that increase your shields, your heals, and then some things that'll increase your damage when you're healthy or have shields or you have more than your maximum HP. She's going to be a great way to facilitate that game plan. And because she's also of the ice element, you'll be able to reduce damage that way as well through her ability to freeze different enemies. So we have her talents here, which is going to give her the ability to counterattack 2 times per turn when an ally with a shield is attacked. This is going to help facilitate her being a shield breaker for you. So that's going to be a very good stat for her too. But speaking of doing ice damage, we also have the ultimate here, which is going to facilitate the freeze game plan in sort of tank down style of March 7th. Doing damage, freezing enemies, that's sort of the way that she wants to be played. And then her skill is the game changer, the sort of skill you've been relying on at the start of the game. One of the only ways to sort of heal or keep characters healthy, she's going to apply a shield to a character, and then if the ally's current HP percentage is 30% or higher, it greatly increases the chance that the enemies attack that character. So if you don't have another preservation character, you can use March 7th to make herself the tank, give herself extra energy from being hit, or you can use March 7th to put the shield on somebody else that you do want to have attacked, for instance, like Clara, or maybe you have a different preservation character in the same team, such as the Fire Trailblazer. And this is going to greatly increase the chance of those characters being attacked, and then proccing her counter attack as well, helping you shield break things, helping you reduce their shields so you can do some damage to them. And then also the ultimate is going to help you freeze them on top of that. So make sure you level up March 7th. You can't go wrong with this character, especially if you're a tank down free-to-play player, which is going to be one of the easiest ways to tackle some of the most difficult content leading into your start of Honkai Star Rail. Now, enough of supports. Let's talk about Dan Heng. Dan the Man is an incredibly powerful DPS character. Many players are going to shy away from him because early on he doesn't seem that good, and that's because, well, early on you don't really have the gear or ability to fully take advantage of Dan Heng. Now, if you go into his skill here, this is very important. On a critical hit, there's a 100% base chance to reduce the target speed by 12%. Now, this is at level 1, and this is very, very strong. Speed down is going to help facilitate you being able to get an edge on your enemies, building up skill points just in time to heal yourself, shield, tank down, all of that good stuff. It's very, very powerful that you have a debuff ability on a DPS hunt character. But on top of that, it's also going to help him do more damage. Well, because of his ultimate ability, which is Ethereal Dream, this is going to be doing bonus damage if the enemy does have speed down, meaning that he can do this all on his own. You just have to get some crit rate gear on him. At the start of the game, this is not something that's really happening, and it seems like it's an entirely RNG thing, that this skill, his ultimate's doing way too much damage. It's because at the start of the game, you have 5 crit rate, 10 crit rate. Once you guys start playing mid-game, end-game, you're gonna hit 40, 50, 60, 70 crit rate if you get your characters properly built. In hunt cards, there's a ton of them that have tons of crit rate, and you'll get one from Simulated Universe that's going to increase your crit rate. I do believe it's either 32 or up to 36%, and it's entirely available for no money spent. You just have to get into Simulated Universe and do it a little bit. Now, he also does have some very nice talents here, which play very well with other supportive characters because he has wind resistance penetration, and it's a big DPS increase to have access to this. If you've played any other mobile gacha game, you know how powerful resistance down is or resistance penetration is. If you've come from Genshin, Viridescent Venerer set. This is basically his own Viridescent Venerer set for his own damage in his own kit. Okay, you just have to get someone to put a buff on Dan. Now, next we're gonna have a character you're probably going to have to level at some point because they're so strong in the Simulated Universe. Natasha is gonna be one of the only 2 abundance characters in the game, so we don't need to spend that much time on her. But what you do get, yes, she's free. Yes, she's not Bailu, but she also does do quite a few things that Bailu can't do. So if you get in here and you look at her traces, one of the things that she's going to be able to do that you don't have access to on Bailu right away is going to be the ability to soothe, which is going to remove a debuff from an ally. So if you have this in combination with March 7th in your party, you're gonna have two different characters that can cleanse debuffs. If you have access to maybe Brawny in your party, now you're gonna have a preservation character, an abundance character, and a harmony character that can all cleanse different debuffs from enemies that put on your party. And then you throw in just whatever DPS character you want, and you'll be going to town. Nothing's really gonna be able to debuff you anymore. And this is something that not a lot of characters have access to, and she is indeed one of them there. But other than that, she's gonna be able to do traditional healer stuff. She's gonna be able to heal herself and somebody else. With her ultimate, she's gonna be able to heal everyone in your party. If your characters are getting a little bit low on health, she's gonna be able to increase her output on her healing as well. So she's got a little bit of regen too. She's just all around a good character and someone that you should definitely level so you can get into simulated universe and tank it down much more easily with that tank down playstyle. Don't ignore it. Now, speaking of tank down, where would I be if I didn't say level the Trailblazer? Get the Fire Trailblazer level up. This character is just so good. If you're thinking about a knight type character, this is what you're thinking about. This character has everything you need in the game for you to facilitate your game plan. Now, we do have the skill Ever Burning Amber, which is going to give damage reduction, which is huge, 42% here at level 3. And then also it's going to give you stacks of magma oil. That's fine, but also the ability to 100% base chance taunt all enemies, which is very, 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 very nice, because now you have 100% chance for your tank to get hit. We love that, and this is going to help build up the Fire Trailblazer's ultimate ability quite quickly, because you are getting energy every time these enemies hit you. But on top of that, we also have the ultimate ability, the War Flaming Lance, which is going to do some damage, and it's also going to enhance your next auto that doesn't cost magma will either. So this is going to do some damage and also give everyone a little bit of extra healing on their Fire Trailblazer's Unwavering Gallantry, which is going to cause your enhanced basic attack that's now free from using your ultimate to heal you for 5%. Now this is going to add up over time, because you're going to have not just the one from the ultimate ability, but you're going to be building up these magma stacks, which enhance the basic attack. And then the first one's going to be free after you use your ultimate. She's just very efficient in using ultimate, taunting enemies, taking damage that is reduced, and also self-healing back up afterwards because of her talent ability here as well, which is also going to give you a shield for your entire party based off of your defense. So now we have self-heals, shields for your party, taunts to keep your party safe, and it gets even better with some other strong traces like the Strong Defend the Weak, which is after you use your skill, you're reducing damage your entire party takes by 15% for one turn. Don't let the Fire Trailblazer sit and rot in your party. You're going to be using this character somewhere, and a lot of you probably, if you're not using March 7th in the simulated universe, you're going to be using the free-to-play version of the Fire Trailblazer. Very strong. I don't know why I said free-to-play version. I mean, every version is the free-to-play version. I think it's because I have free-to-play Josh as the name up here. I don't know. Now, the last two characters I'm going to kind of do as a combo deal, because they're both 4-star DPS characters as well, and they're also not free characters. So Sushang is an amazing hunt character. Basically, TLDR, Sushang wrecks, absolutely destroys enemies who have their shield broken. And she also has one other thing going for her. So let's take a look at her actual skill here first, and you can see right away that she is here to attack weakness broken targets, because you're going to do damage with the skill, and then you're going to have this thing called the Sword Stance proc, which is going to do bonus damage as a proc to enemies who are weakness broken, with a 100% chance to apply this to enemies who are weakness broken. This is fine, and it's a very efficient use of one skill point. But then you also have her ultimate, which is going to enhance her skill as well. So you use the ultimate, it's going to do a pretty sizable amount of damage, but in addition to that, it's going to do two very important things. Now, the first thing is that it's going to increase her attack by 18% or more once you level it, and it's going to have 2 extra chances for you to trigger those Sword Stance procs for 2 turns. Now remember, a Sword Stance proc against a weakness broken target is a 100% chance to trigger sword stance. So with these 2 extra ones, you're going to be proccing every available sword stance trigger that you have on a weakness broken target. Cool, but there's one more very broken thing about this. We already know we can use our ultimates whenever we want, reacting to enemies' actions, use them when it's not our turn. Here's the big thing about her ultimate though, is that it also is going to push her action all the way up to the front. So say you go ahead, there's a weakness broken target, you use the skill, you get a skill proc in there, do bonus damage. That's cool, your turn's done. Then you immediately activate your ultimate, do the damage, get the extra ready buffs for the sword stance triggers, and it will push you back up to the top of the bar so you can actually take another action with all of your sword stance triggers ready to rock and roll again. Now this is going to be a crazy thing, and you sort of feel like a budget Seele taking extra turns because you attack, sword stance triggers, ult, your turn again, skill again, sword stance trigger, sword stance trigger, sword stance trigger. And then on top of that, she's also just all about sword stance triggers, dealing bonus damage, right? Using weakness break and advancing forward if someone's weakness broken, and also just getting a slight speed buff as well from her talent ability on top of that. So if you're there to destroy weakness broken targets, you have someone that we talked about, Marge or Asta or some other character that's there to break the enemy's bars for you, then she's going to be a shining example of a hunt DPS character. Now the other one actually is going to be Arlan, and I think Arlan's still being dealt a pretty big disservice, namely because I don't disagree with the way that it's shaped, but you guys aren't looking at the DPS rankings for Arlan on Pridwin. I've seen the comments down there. If you've taken 2 seconds to look at how that's shaped up, the Pridwin calculator isn't factoring in his actual talent ability, where his HP is lower than 100%. The calculator has him always at 100%. I know why this is. It's because it's so hard to, when you're going and facilitating and crunching numbers, which one he's going to be at. Is he at 100%? Is he at 50%? What's going on here with Arlan? So what we're going to be saying here about Arlan though is that he does have a very powerful skill set when it comes to being action point efficient. His skill doesn't cost any skill points. Mid-game, he is going to have some issues there because it's going to be a little bit harder to facilitate the gameplay play style that you want Arlan to be in with a party where everyone becomes pretty energy efficient. At least your healer with enough energy recharge to sort of heal up your party without using extra skill points to make up for the fact that Arlan damages himself. But once you can do that, and your healer doesn't need to expend a bunch of skill points to heal Arlan, you can heal Arlan just with your ultimate ability every once in a while, you're going to have a very low skill point cost character, and you're going to be able to use the skill, which generates bonus elemental energy for your ultimate, and then also use your ultimate ability as well. This character is going to be able to just do nothing but skill ult, skill ult, skill ult, skill ult over and over. His ultimate costs, I do believe, 110, which is actually extremely cheap, and the skill is going to generate 30. For instance, if you use him with someone like Tingyun, who generates 50 ultimate energy, you can use skill, get hit by Tingyun's ultimate, use his ultimate, which generates some energy, and then skill, get hit by Tingyun's ultimate again, and just keep using his ultimate there. He's an extremely powerful, skill efficient character that it's going to take a little bit of time for him to get built up out of that mid-game hole that he's in, but he's going to be a pretty great character for a lot of skill point efficient teams. For instance, not only with Tingyun, but what do you do with Bronya most of the time? Very powerful character Bronya is. When you're using her skill to push someone up, you're pushing up probably your DPS character, and then your DPS character spends another skill point, right? And then you need to heal somebody eventually, another skill point. Your preservation character wants to taunt again, another skill point. With Arlan, you can push Arlan, use his skill for free, push Arlan, use his skill for free. That is 2 skill points, where any other DPS character is Bronya's skill point, DPS character skill point, Bronya's skill point, DPS character skill point. In a situation where you're using him like that, it's much more easy to see how powerful just being skill point efficient is with this character. No matter who it is you decide to level up, these are some of the ones I think you should work on, guys. If you want to see more stuff, check the channel out, give someone a call today, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys.